So let's start with the alphabet. It can be easily learned as a rhyming poem. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. If you will notice, the letter W is on a line all by itself. Why? Because it has 3 syllables. All the other letters are composed of single syllables. What is a syllable? A syllable is a unit of sound with one vowel sound in it. So we have W, W. Now you know the names of the letters, and now we begin learning the sounds that the letters stand for. In Lesson 1 of Alpha Phonics, we introduced 5 consonant letters and 1 vowel letter. Our language sounds are divided into 2 kinds, vowels and consonants. In English, the vowel sounds are represented by the letters A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. The rest are known as consonants. The different vowels in English are pronounced by changing the way we form our lips so that the air flowing out of our mouths can change in sound. Our vocal cords produce our language sounds. These marvelous instruments permit us to speak and sing at different pitches. Some individuals are born with vocal cords that can produce the sublime sounds of music. We less gifted are happy that we can use our vocal cords to express any word in our language very clearly. In Lesson 1, we introduce 1 vowel sound, the short A, and 5 letters that stand for 5 consonant sounds. The letter A stands for the sound, as in cat, as in cat. The letter M stands for the sound, as in man. The letter N stands for the N sound, as in net. The letter S stands for the S sound, as in set. The letter T stands for the T sound, as in tent. The letter X stands for the XKS sound, as in tax, tax. Now, when we join the short A with M, we get the word am, am. When we join the short A with N, we get the word an, an. When we join the short A with T, or we get at. When we join the short A with S, we get ass. When we join the short A with X, we get axe. So now you can read these 5 2-letter words: am, an, as, at, and axe. They are all words we use every day. For example, I am feeling fine. I have an apple. He is as tall as she is. We are at the mall. Dad has an axe. In Lesson 2, we expand these 2-letter words into 3-letter words. We put the S in front of am, and we get Sam, the name Sam. We put the M in front of an, and we get an, man. We then learn the sound of the letter H, which is the beginning sound of the words happy, hand, and hat. We then put the letter H in front of as, and we get as, has. We put the S in front of at, and we get s, at, sat. Note that the S in Sam is a capital letter because Sam is a proper name. But we use a small letter or lowercase s for sat. We then put the T before ax, and we get ax, tax, a very common word which you will be using for the rest of your life. Now that we have learned to read the words Sam, man, has, tax, we can go into lesson 3. In this lesson, we arrange all of the words we can read into the spelling families. Thus, under am, we have Sam. Under an, we have man. Under as, we have has. Under at, we have sat. And under ax, we have tax. The reason why we do this is so that we can learn to spell. When we spell, we name the letters of a word in their proper sound sequence. That's what spelling is all about, just naming the letters in their proper sound sequence. So now we can read our first sentence. Sam sat. Sam has an axe. At this point, I advise you to get a good cursive writing program so that you can learn to write English in cursive. By writing in cursive, you will learn to spell better than if you just print the letters. In cursive, the letters are joined from left to right, the proper direction in which the sounds of the words are spoken. You will be able to see where one word ends and another begins. By writing the words, you will progress faster and more accurately in reading. Also, make sure that you hold the pen in the correct way. Otherwise, your hand and fingers will tire easily. If you hold the pen correctly, you'll be able to write for hours without tiring. Now, here's how you hold the pen correctly. As you see, we use only 3 fingers. The thumb, I guess this is the long finger and this is the forefinger. The pen rests on the forefinger and it's guided by the 2 other fingers. And if you hold this pen correctly, you will be able to write for hours without tiring. But some children today hold the pen like this. And of course, all that does is use needless muscles and tires easily. So it's very important to make sure that if you're teaching a child to write cursive, that they hold the pen in the correct way. In lesson 4, we learn the sounds of 2 more letters, D and W. If we take the letter D, if we put the letter D with the short A, we get add. Add. A plus D equals add. If we place the D before add, we get d, add, dad. If we place the W before X, we get w-ax, wax. That is the sound of W as w, w. If we place D in front of an, we get the name Dan. And now we can read two more sentences. Dan sat, Dad has wax. In lesson 5, we expand our spelling families. Note that in the as, has spelling family, we have the word was. Was is pronounced as W-U-Z, not was. There is no such word as was in English. This is the kind of irregular word that we have in English, usually a variant of vowel sound. In other words, you tell the child that W-A-S is not was, it's simply was. And children have no problem, learning these strange little irregularities. You should be able to read the words in this lesson since they consist of only letters that you have already learned. If it is slow going, take your time and repeat the words until you can read them fluently. In lesson 6, use these words in short sentences. A sentence is a complete thought. The first word in a sentence should always be capitalized. Also note the punctuation at the end of the sentences. There are periods and question marks. When the sentence asks a question, we end it with a question mark. Now let me just read these sentences for you. Dad sat. Max had ham. Dan was tan. Was Sam tan? Has Dad an axe? Dan has wax. Dad was sad. Was Max mad? Tad was tan. So that's quite an accomplishment, in that by lesson 6 you're already reading sentences. In lesson 7, we add the letter D to the word and we get and. Very common word, and. Then if we place the letter H before and, we get hand. Now we introduce the letter the letter L, which stands for the initial sound in such words as lad, lab, lap, and lag. If we place the letter L in front of and, we get, you guessed it, land. If we place the letter S in front of and, we get sand. The rest of the lesson is comprised of short sentences using the words we have just learned. Dan and Sam, Max and Tad, tax and wax, land and sand. In lesson 8, we learn the sounds of consonant letters L, B, C, G, F, and J. In lowercase, you can see they are lowercase l, lowercase b, C, G, and F, and J. By now you should be able to easily analyze the sounds in these 3 letter words. For example, you have short a plus L gives us al. H plus al gives us hal. S plus al gives us sal. With B plus ad gives us bad. B plus an gives us ban. B plus and gives us band. And B plus at gives us bat. C plus ab gives us cab. C plus add gives us cad. C plus al gives us cal. C plus at gives us cat. C plus an gives us can. G plus ab gives us gab. G plus add gives us gad. G plus ag gives us gag. G plus al gives us gal. G plus as gives us gas. Now with F, we have fad, fan, fat, fax. With J, jam, jan, jab, jack. With L, lab, lad, lag. And with N, nab, nag, and nat. In lesson 9, we learn the consonant letters, that is the sounds of the consonant letters P, R, T, V, W, Y, and Z. And as you can see in the lesson, P stands for P, and therefore we get P, ad, pad, P, al, pal, P, am, pam, P, an, pan, P, at, pat, P, at, pat. Now the small pat, with the small p in pat, stands for the word to pat somebody. The capital T stands for the word, for the name Pat. You know, Pat is a name also. The letter R stands for rag, ram, ran, rap, rat. The letter T we've already learned, and so we can read tab, tad, tag, tan, tap, and tax. The letter V stands for the sound V, as in val, van, that. The letter W, as we saw in the word was and in wax, is wag, wax, and was. The letter Y stands for the sound y, as in yak, yam, yap. And the letter Z, the sound z, stands for the z sound in zag and zap. In lesson 10, we list all of the words learned thus far in their spelling families. Note that in the as spelling family, the words bass, lass, and pass end with a double S. The double S spelling indicates that the S is pronounced in its hard sound. In as and has, the S is pronounced in its soft form, almost like a Z. The word gas is pronounced with a hard S. Always use a word in the way it is pronounced in common speech, regardless of its spelling. If you want to be understood by others, you have to pronounce a word in the way that it is commonly spoken. And as we all know, accents vary in different regions. The accent in the American South is known as a drawl. In the Northeast, it varies between New York and northern New England. The beauty of English is that it is spoken on all consonants, or on all continents, with a variety of accents. But the spelling is usually the same in all countries, with slight variations in spelling between the United States and England. English language newspapers in non-English speaking countries are usually written in what we call standard English, and thus can be read by anyone who can read English. Note that in lesson 10, you can make up your own sentences. You have the verbs, words connotating action, can, has, was, ad, ran, am, had, and more that would make interesting and amusing sentences. In Lesson 11, we learn the CK